Hello, everyone who joined. It is Learning Green webinar, and we are here to explore degree programs for a sustainable future. My name is Anastasia Perderon, and I'm a head of communications in New Energy Advancement Hub. And I'm pleased to introduce our guest speaker, Javier Garcia Colino, Senior Associate Director for Talent and Careers at AE University. Javier, I invite you to share your experience and introduce yourself to our participants.
Hello, Anastasia. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the warm introduction. As Anastasia mentioned, I work at IE University in the Department of Talent and Careers, where we are basically dealing with the market and how to help students get jobs out there. So just to let you know a little bit about myself, I'm from Madrid. I grew up here. I studied industrial engineering. Then I did a master's in mechanical engineering in the Technical University of Delft in the Netherlands. I was working in the semiconductor industry, doing very technical job in ASML, the chip manufacturer, well, the lithography manufacturer for microchips. And after a certain time over there, I decided to shift in my career. I studied another master's, this time in international relations here at IE University, so back to Madrid. And after that, I was exploring the entrepreneurial arena for about a year. So I was with a couple of partners starting a company in circular economy, help via blockchain technology. And after that, I joined this IT company called Indra from Spain, and I was dealing mostly with electoral processes. And already 4 years ago, I finally joined the university, IE, and I hold this position since I joined. So here I manage a team of 6 people. And as I said, we do like prospects in terms of the job market. And at the same time, we help students understand the opportunities out there, helping them with their curriculums, with their documents, and in the end, finding the job they want to after their studies here.
Great. So thank you so much for your introduction, Javier. So let's start. Labor markets have been directly affected by the geopolitics, the economic turbulence, the employment levels in many countries yet return to their pre-pandemic levels. And this issue definitely hit the energy-related job market, but the global trend to the energy transition remains. And as we can see, and here I will share a bit my slides. As we can see, that the dynamics of global investments in the energy transition still remains, and it grows. And according to IRENA, International Energy Agency, World Economic Forum, and LinkedIn, energy-related jobs will grow strongly, while a share of fossil fuel-related jobs will decline. And of course, there is also some buts, and here it is that those job opportunities will be presented in different locations, not as it was before. It will need different skill sets, and it will appear in different sectors. So energy transition urgently needs more skilled workers, and market needs new talents, and the education is the key provider of new skilled workers. So it's not so easy to navigate in the complex landscape of higher and business education opportunities, and this is why we're here, by the way. So let's discuss educational landscape of MBAs and ExEd programs, and then we will move to master degree. So, question, Javier, what are the core differences between MBA programs and ExEd programs focusing on sustainability? And do they usually focus on sustainability in a broadened sense, or some of them are focused on energy transition specifically?
Well, thanks for the question. Thanks also for the slides. Indeed, as Anastasia was sharing, the market is growing. The market will keep growing in the direction of energy transition and as well in general in sustainability. You just need to look at all the regulation that is being passed, for example, in Europe, but eventually the US and other areas will follow up. So this is really relevant. As you just mentioned as well, indeed, the higher education environment is quite complex to navigate, mostly when you are not working in it, of course. So there are like many, many different players. And right now, and if we look at this, it doesn't matter that much if you have previous experience or you don't, but obviously many people will be doubting, no? Like, okay, should I invest some money and time and efforts in executive education, or shall I go for a more traditional MBA approach? So in here, I want to first maybe talk a little bit about the MBAs. So MBA programs have been there for more than 50 years. So we all know what they are about. It's purely management related to business. So if you want to grow into the managerial, let's say, vertical of your company or a different company, is what you would study. Nowadays, of course, they've become more and more complex. They all have certain concentrations or small specializations inside the MBAs, but most of them are still in the general management area. The shortest MBA you can study, normally it will take at least 1 year. You can do it part-time or you can do it full-time, but it's like a more long-term relationship, so to say, at least with the school, and it will devote certain amount of time and effort. However, if you move to executive education, those tend to be courses that are shorter. So they tend to last in between, it depends, no, but in between 2 months to 4 months, maybe 6 months, something a little bit more concentrated that you can combine in an easier way with your current job. And the idea of the executive education is normally quite specialized and quite focused. So in here, we are not talking about, let's say a general move in your career, a general step upwards. It would be more like, okay, I will specialize in something so I can also keep growing, but becoming a little bit more of a specialist on something, or if not becoming a specialist, at least getting the knowledge to take in, for example, different responsibilities. So if you're already in an executive level or a director level, but you need to learn as well about marketing, you would do an executive education in marketing probably to complete your profile. That being said, we have specializations in both, as we were talking. No? So nowadays, the MBAs are more and more moving into having 2, 3, 4 months of a specialization. And right now, mostly the last year, sustainability or energy has become a trend because, as Anastasia was saying, we need skills. And the market is demanding what we could call technical skills. And we're not meaning technical as if you have to study an engineering, but you need to have certain amount of knowledge. So that's why the MBAs are turning there, but still that's, let's say, just a little specialization. However, if you move to the executive education, they are shorter. They tend to have more information on the same topic. So right now, there are a lot of courses as well on sustainability or energy transition. That the good thing is that normally in executive education, you have professionals that are working already on these environments in regulation institutions, but also in the private sector. So it will probably give you a more up-to-date and fast information on the market. So it will allow you to move in that direction. But maybe they become also a bit outdated in 1 or 2 years, while the preparation you can get from an MBA is something that indeed makes you grow as a professional in a stronger way. So you will have that powerful tool there. That being said, there's a third option as well that I would like to mention, and is any other kind of master that it's not an MBA, but it's also like a year or 2 years education program that it's more focused on specific things. They are becoming also more trendy. Right now, there are not so many. We will get into that, I think, a little bit later. But there are some institutions, some universities that are also introducing masters in sustainability or energy transition. Sometimes very related to business, sometimes less related to business, and a little bit more technical in the way that we were mentioning before. So these could be the 3 scenarios that we could consider. So on one side, MBAs, a little bit more long-term, more effort, executive education, more focused in the short-term, fast, specific knowledge, and then the masters in different topics that could require kind of both things, no? Like more time and more effort, but at the same time, it will allow you to be specialized in something.
Great. So can you provide some examples of leading master programs globally that specialize in this field, and share maybe trending academic focuses of those master programs? How do they align to current industry needs?
Yeah, so, well, first, and because IE University is part of it, I have to talk about the Business Schools for Climate Change. And that's an association, a European one, where there are 8 universities participating, 8 business schools. So it's INSEAD, and there's Cambridge Business School, ESE Business School, also in Spain, IE, the International Institute for Management Development, the IMD from Lausanne, the HEC from Paris, and then Side Business School from Oxford, and the LBS, the London Business School. So here there's a group of universities that started being together 4 to 5 years ago in order to, as they say, for climate leadership. So the idea is that all of these institutions are developing different programs in this direction. Of course, some of them are a little bit farther, some of them are a little bit more in the managerial area or more in the business side. Some others are becoming or are getting a little bit more hardcore in technology, if we can say it that way. So specific examples that we can mention, if we go, for example, to here in IE, we got specializations in the MBA already 2 years ago, but we are launching in September a specific master in business and sustainability and business transformation. So as you can see, this one is one of the kind of masters that is very business focused with an extra focus on sustainability, but still very business oriented. We have similar ones if we look at the Master in Sustainability Management from ExEd, or the Master in Sustainability and Social Innovation from the HEC in Paris. Then we have some others that turn a little bit more into policy, and this aligns in the trend of the European Union getting into a lot of regulation. So we would find in LSE, in the London School of Economics, Masters in Environments and Developments, or in Environmental Economics and Climate Change. You see already words like climate change or energy will show up. That's because they are a bit more technical in a sense. In CNSPO, we would have Masters in International Business and Sustainability, or Master in Energy, Environment, and Sustainability. This one, indeed, I mean, it's never going to be like in an engineering school, so we forget about that so much technical aspect, but it will be much more focused on that and not that much into business, even though it might be included in a business school. If we leave Europe and we move also a bit to the US, for example, we have a Master's in Sustainability in Tufts University that is quite STEM oriented. So again, more in the technical side. While in Colombia, in New York, we have a couple of them. So obviously they have the Earth Institute, as you all probably know. So sometimes they have degrees that are more on the technical side as well, like the Master's in Sustainability Science. Or they also got the Masters in Sustainability Management, that indeed would be more similar to what we are developing in IE in terms of business and sustainability together. Another interesting one to come up in September would be the Master in Sustainability and Energy Management in Bocconi, because these are the ones that are incorporating energy in a more broader sphere. As we were talking earlier, about how important is energy or not in sustainability. Because here today, we're going to be talking all the time about, okay, energy and climate change and sustainability. We will see after as well that there are small differences, and we could focus on one or on the other, depending on our idea for our future. And if we look at executive education, I would like to mention the Harvard one in Sustainability's master's degree program. That is a really famous and big one that probably also all of you know, but like to give a glimpse on what's in executive education as well. But all the institutions that we were talking about will cover executive education programs on this.
Right. And which specific skills do, for example, MBA programs develop compared to masters and ExEd programs? Because we see, as you said, there is a lot of masters with a kind of management at the same time. So how to divide, how to understand where to look?
Yeah, this is indeed an important one, also because whenever you're looking for a program, I mean, I've done it, you've done it probably, everyone here is thinking on doing that. you have to see, no, what the school is telling you. So what are they gonna teach you? Which kind of skills are you gonna get, no? So if we look at MBA skills, traditionally, it's more or less they can be summarized in 6. So you learn how to do business strategy, and that would fall into the traditional way still. Decision making, so how to become an important person in your organization and be able to take decisions. Data analysis and business intelligence is something that is becoming more and more present, and we will see that is also in demand from the market side. So this one would be one of the highlights, so to say, from the ones we can extract for the MBA, if we are looking to do an MBA in order to incorporate ourselves in the climate or sustainability area. Then you have leadership and management. As you said, most of the programs have the management word in their wording. So it is one of the main things. And leadership is also important because if we look at it, and we know, no, with the recent, for example, elections for the European Parliament and the results, there are already comments, no, saying that probably sustainability movements that were being quite strong will slow in terms of pace, no? So they will come to market, so to say, in a longer pace, probably. Therefore, many companies, many organizations need as well leaders that are convinced and are working into this direction. So that's why also leadership and management will become very important skills. The last two ones would be communication skills and networking. And the last one that an MBA always gives is entrepreneurial skills. Those ones, of course, it depends. If you are moving more into the public policy area, you don't need so many entrepreneurial skills, but they are more and more valued as well in the private sector. So even if you are joining a big corporation, they will always value that you have those kind of skills. So that would be the skill sets that an MBA would normally provide us with. And then if we look at the markets, and I will mention as well some data from the World Economic Forum, but some other is more about my knowledge, my conversations with different companies and organizations. There are mainly two important skills that everyone is asking for, or they also feel that they are missing somehow. So it would be important that we all get them if we want to keep ourselves important and valuable to the market. So the first one, as I was mentioning before, is data analysis. Nowadays, well, you know that the amount of data we collect is incredibly huge. Probably at some point is not even useful because we have so much that we don't know how to manage it. But definitely everyone in our work will have to deal with data and how you are able to interpret that data and extract conclusions. And if you can do it in a fast and trustable way, that would be definitely an asset. And there's constant conversations with employers that this is a very, very key point that sometimes is missing. This comes by hand with management as well, because the roles related to climate, energy transition, sustainability, many times are not just entry positions, but you already get certain amount of responsibility. So therefore, management, they are also seeing that it's important, and sometimes it doesn't come necessarily with the profiles. And the second one would be more in the side of innovation and technology. Nowadays, obviously, technology is a thing. Even with artificial intelligence right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. So having or being able to have an understanding of what's going on with technology, and that doesn't mean, again, that you become an engineer, but that you become familiar with what are the new trends, what technology means, which kind of upskilling you might need for your peers or for your colleagues. So the challenges you're going to face because new technology is coming on one side, and on the other side, how to take that new technology and make it useful for you. So you don't spend more time understanding it and trying to implement it just because it's technology and it's new and it should be good. But it's better if you know and decide, okay, I will use it here because I know this will take some rewards for me, or it will save some time, or it will save some money, instead of just using it because it's trendy and everyone is there. And once I've said that, if we also take a closer look to, for example, the report on the future of work from the World Economic Forum, they develop it every 2-3 years, like it depends, but the last one was released May 2023, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, over a year ago. And there are like 3 main skills that are in growth, and those are creative thinking, analytical thinking, and technological literacy. So basically, these are the three that are growing the most in their list and are more or less the three that I was explaining just before. So analytic skills, again, analytical skills, and technology understanding. Then the expected growth of skills in the next 4 years, so from 23 to 2027, are these three on one side. So they more or less coincide, but they prevent, or they are seen that these are the ones that are going to grow the most. It doesn't mean that they will be number 1 and 2, but definitely that we will need many more people that has no idea right now about these topics, and we will need them to have certain level of expertise. So that would be number 1, artificial intelligence and big data. Again, we keep collecting data that at some point we need to understand. This is going to be crucial. And right now with artificial intelligence, I mean, we don't know, and we are not sure if it's really going to stay there in 4, 5, 7 years. I remember myself, because when I was developing the startup, we were working a lot with blockchain, that if you don't know, is the technology behind the Bitcoin that can be used for many other things than cryptocurrency, but it was really a hype at the time. And then now it looks like it faded away a little bit. So I don't think it's going to happen with AI because it's much more powerful. We never know, but definitely we will need the understanding of those topics. The second one would be design and user experience. As we are becoming more and more technological, indeed, how easy we make to users to understand this technology and be able to use it in a good way is going to be key. And the last one, that is probably the one most related with our topic today, is environmental stewardship. So again, it's not that everything is going to revolve around sustainability and environments, but somehow, yes. Because in the end, if we are not sustainable, if our business are not sustainable, if we don't care about the resources we may need or may not need, we are lost. So that would be to wrap up in terms of the skills.
Wow, a huge overview. Thank you. Thank you, Javier. Yeah, and all the time, all the skills that you named, I was thinking, oh my God, I will learn for all of my life. And I think this is something that we need just to integrate into our mindset. Lifelong learning. That's it. And we'll have to adopt new technologies. We will have to adapt to new social, economical, environmental circumstances. So we have no choice if we want to be successful, if we want to have our career stably growing, we need to be adaptive and we need to learn. So okay, um, just um, just to how to say um, let's hypothetically imagine that I'm choosing between master program and MBA in sustainability. Which criteria I should use? Why to choose one on another? Are they key pro and cons to take into consideration in each situation? So
Yeah,
let's give some practical tips for our participants.
yeah, at least, I mean, of course, it's my experience, my opinion, but it's what I tell at least most of my students, and not only my students, but also friends of friends that are thinking of moving around as well. So I would always take into account 3 different things. First of all, your background. So obviously, if you are looking at your first degree, but you already have certain background. So depending on your background, you have to think, okay, I want to do some more training, but what for? No? So if I have a background already in marketing or business, do I want this new training in order to make myself more eligible for certain markets? So do I want to get into sustainability? Then you will have to see if the kind of roles you are looking at will require just certain specialization in a short course that could be an ExEd, or it requires a full master's because your previous experience is not that related to the new topic. So then you need to invest more on that to be able to be eligible in the end. The second one would be look at your professional experience. If you've been working already, and I make it up, for 8 years or 5 years in an NGO that is very focused in environment and climate, even though you were a marketing expert, you already have certain history on knowing the topics, on knowing about sustainability, knowing about climate change. Therefore, you may not need a full 2 years program in very specific things, but you can take something shorter that will allow you to get that jump. However, if you're also thinking of maybe staying in the same company, but upskilling, and moving, let's say, vertically to a more relevant or a position with more responsibilities, it might be that an MBA could become useful, because then you will be able to have more responsibilities, have a bigger team. So that will have to play a different point as well. And the third one, it would be to take into account what is your goal with this training. So you can normally have 3 different moves professionally. So if you are thinking of moving into the sustainability or energy transition area, you could have a traditional role in a traditional company. That would be the usual. So you could be a good seller in a company such as a big brand of clothes, for example, clothing, not to disclose any specific brand. And then you could move doing the same. So keeping your role, you would be still a salesperson, but in a company or organization that is closer to sustainability or closer to energy transition. That would be like an easy move. Another move you could do is staying in your organization and moving into a position that it's closer to sustainability or closer to energy transition. That obviously is only possible if the possibility exists in your organization or if you are able to create it. Nowadays, as I said before, every company is moving into the point that you need someone dealing with these things. But sometimes maybe they are not thinking about it right now, and they will think about it in a certain amount of time, and you prefer to move. So in the end, you need to consider the 3 of them. So you need to consider what is your background. So what did you study before? What have you done professionally and where that places you? And depending on that, you choose for the executive education, for an MBA, or for a specialized master, depending on what your target is. But normally, if you're planning to move into the sustainability area, try to add what you are missing. So if you want to do impact finance, for example, or sustainable finance, and you have a previous background in finance, then increase your knowledge in sustainability. However, if you come from sustainability companies, but you want to do sustainable finance, get finance knowledge, hardcore finance knowledge, so pure MBA finance knowledge probably, because that will allow you to be at the same level as someone that would be getting that kind of job.
Great. It looks like a scheme, if you want, you turn to the left, turn to the right. Great. I think
That's probably
really
also my engineering brain, that likes everything like very in an image and really schematic. So yeah, you can move decisions forward.
But like that, it's clear, it's perfect. So I just wanted to say that, dear participants, if you have any questions, feel free to send it in the chat of YouTube broadcasting or LinkedIn broadcasting, or send it to our team. And we will be happy to transfer it to Javier, and maybe myself, I can add something from my side as well. And I suggest to move forward. So let's think about the goal. So education, as you already said, as I think deep inside of me as well, it's just a step. And this is the tool for career development and professional growth. So do you have any answers on the question why to choose career in sustainability?
Yes, I have many, and I will share some with you here because, well, there are, if you look at what sustainability is, no, like you could be interested in sustainability because of 3 different things normally. Because of the value you hold, so you believe that sustainability is important, that you need to bring that to the world because somehow you are very interested in a specific needs of a local area and certain communities, and you want to make their life better, their economic development better, and you would like to have an impact on those lives. A second reason why you might be interested in working in sustainability is because certain knowledge you already have. So if you've been trained in a bachelor's in environmental science, and then you've taken a course as well in business related to sustainability, maybe just because you are prepared for it, you are thinking and working in that field. It's never one or the other, probably it's always a combination, but this is as fair as the previous one. It can be because of value you hold, it can be because your preparation it's ready or makes you ready to work in this field. And the third one, that is also as fair as the others, is because it's a growing sector and there will be more opportunities. So even if you don't care that much about sustainability or the environment of energy transition, if you are looking at the market and you are looking what is really growing, where do I see or where do the experts see an increase in the amount of jobs available in the coming years, this would be definitely a smart decision. So you have those three, you can embrace the three of them, only one, only two, but that would be normally the way of thinking if you want on why you would choose a career in sustainability. Then if you ask me, the other thing to take into account is that we have to be very aware of what sustainability involves. So we tend to think, because it was like the trend or the paradigm years ago, that sustainability is taking care of environments, and then be sure that the waters you put back in the river after your process in the factory is clean. No, kind of. That was like the view probably in the 70s, 80s. That was the time where everything related to corporate social responsibility, let's call it like this, because it was the name that it was given, was something the company had to take care of, but kind of from outside. Okay, so I do my business and then I have some impact, so I cope with it somehow. That moved some years ago to what evolved into ESG, more environmental, social, and governance. So the companies tried to incorporate in their business plans as well what would be their how they would be affecting the environment or how they would be affecting a society. So it would be like closer to the business model, but still separate. And right now, the new paradigm is that businesses are trying to align their business goal and trying to make it sustainable and as circular as possible. So avoiding creating waste, incorporating partners that will allow you don't create waste, but at the same time reuse your energy and become sustainable and useful to the society. Instead of compensating for the harm you're doing, just doing good because it's like a collateral, in this case, not damage, but a collateral action from your already profitable action. If we look at it, as Sir Ronald Cohen says it in his fantastic book from last year, Impact and Sustainability, it used to be the binomio risk-profits, so this combination of risk and profits, what you had to take into account to create a business. However, nowadays, the paradigm incorporated the impacts. So right now, there's almost no business that is thinking on just risk and profits, but also the impact that risk and profit is causing. And impact, again, can be social, can be environmental, can be of any kind. All this to say that sustainability is not just working in a company that is sustainable, it's also working in sustainability departments in traditional companies that are moving there eventually. It's also doing specific roles that will have a good impact through an NGO, through a foundation, even though they are maybe not purely related to climate or to climate change or to energy. So in the end, you can find sustainability from private companies to public bodies, education, research institutions, charities. So let's say the field is really broad. So don't close your eyes to what you are familiar with. Just try to open and see what else could be covering as well this field.
I think we will also dive into this topic a bit later when we will discuss the roles and so on. But right now, I suggest to move. You answered to the question why, and now the next question is how. So, what resources and platforms you recommend for finding jobs in the field?
Yeah, so well, first a disclaimer. This is just some these are just some examples that I find useful. Of course, there are many more. And I'm sure there are many more that are as well very interesting and very useful. So I'm gonna share my screen and show you like some of the resources I find very interesting. Not all of them, I will talk about some more as well. But the first one that I think is quite interesting would be the GIIN. So that's the Global Impact Investment Network. Well, I'm going to talk first about three that contain more resources, so to say. And then the second three I'm going to talk about are a little bit more job boards or directed to pure job search. So the Global Impact Investment Network is it's a network that, as you can see here, they have a lot of publications. They have like different solutions, options, programs even. They have certain amount of educational programs. And you could become a member because in the end, most of these places are kind of a community. I know, well, NIA itself, NIA Hub here, like our hosts today, are also a community, have also certain amount of resources. I will talk about them later. So this would be the kind of website that this GIIN is. A similar one would be the BSR, that is a sustainable business network, but also a consultancy. But in here, in a similar way as the World Economic Forum report that I was talking about earlier, you have sustainability, different insights that they have. Of course, sometimes they are related to ending up being advisors of some kind. But it's a very open community as well. As you see, they already have right away here responsible and sustainable AI. So it touches pretty much all the important topics and skills we were talking about. So it's another interesting source of information. The third one on this side of resources, it would be inside the business schools for climate leadership. We developed a toolkit for climate leadership that contains talking about these skills, no, and what I could do in order to become a leader in this climate area. It's an interesting reading. I mean, it's open as well, so it might help you getting a more concrete idea on, okay, do I want to study? Do I want to study something short, something bigger, etc., etc. And then if we move a little bit more towards tools or job search engines, I would recommend these three. So the first one that's very interesting, it would be more in line with people that want to move to sustainability because they have a value that they hold themselves. Because as you can see here, it says you have 80,000 hours in your career. That's more or less average the length of the career of anyone. And here they defend that it's better that all these hours that you're going to devote are being devoted to a positive or end up with a positive impact in our world, in our environment, in our society, or whatever it has to do. So in here, you can see as well some career guides, some research parts, but most importantly at this point, a job board. So here you can really check cities, areas, and different opportunities that are being posted around. A second similar one would be terra.do. Here, as you can see as well, there's like climate fellowship, climate change courses, more resources. And again, under resources, you have a climate job board that contains also a lot of opportunities and then different options that exist worldwide. The final one I want to show you here is the Climate Base. Climate Base, again, is as well a platform where you can find jobs, fellowships, and then it has some resources both for talent and employees. But in here, you have the classic search tool as well, location, job, and a lot of different options on possibilities out there. That being said, I wanted to recommend as well some of the resources that our hosts have. I know they don't necessarily want me to say it, but believe me, they have a really good, I think it's bi-weekly, for example, a job board that they share as well. And yeah, in the end, all our evolution or all our move in the sustainability field has to be through communities, through networking. And this is the way that we get connected to each other, that you will get to find the opportunities and you will get to move forward. I forgot to mention two important things as well, and is a couple of global networks that will always serve us as a guide or as a point to look for information whenever we don't know where to go, or that's what I tend to say. So on one side, you have an NGO that's called a B Lab or a B Corp. They issue this certification. It's an NGO that was founded in the US, but now is present in many parts of the world. And they issue a certification for companies that are sustainable and responsible and like good, that everybody would like to work there. But basically, it's a good point to check for companies that are caring about sustainability. Because if they are a B Corp or they are moving themselves around in the environment of big corporations, it means that they are already actively putting some effort in becoming or getting knowledgeable, at least, on the sustainability field and energy transition. Then the second one, and is the United Nations Global Compact, is a United Nations initiative that was born in order to bridge the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, so these targets that every country and we all together define in the United Nations in order to finish with certain problems that the world had. So this is present in more than 160 countries because the headquarters are in New York, but then they have a chapter in every country they participate. And as I said, it's more than 160, so it's pretty much everywhere. And again, here, the participants are companies that are willing to get more knowledge in sustainability, that are willing to have at least one member of their company going to these meetings that happen every 3 months, every 4 months, and sharing as well initiatives. So it's a very shareable environment. The 20th anniversary of the one in Spain happened 2 weeks ago here in Madrid. I attended there. And you could see, the sustainability directors from big corporations like Acciona or FCC, like those are infrastructure and construction companies that have a really tough time nowadays, with all the materials they use, with all the resources, also creating this, also the energy companies like Iberdrola was present there as well. So these are huge companies that are already at least showing that they have interest in this. Does this mean that looking at the Young Global Compact, we will find the best companies? Maybe not, but as I said, whenever we are lost and we don't know where to look at, I would recommend to go to these places.
Great. I think it will be really useful if we will publish afterwards the list of the sources that you've mentioned, and we also collected some like job portals and nice, interesting overviews of what is happening in this field. So I think it will be useful if we will send it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I
after
can
the
share
event.
the ones that, like we mentioned, and also the ones we discussed previous to the event as well. So we can put all that together and share it with the viewers that are attending right now.
Great, perfect. So so you gave already some tips how to act if you're a bit lost, and is there some hints how which roles you should type in this great engines for job search? Which job titles, which roles are most common for sustainability and energy transition graduates to find themselves in the sector?
Well, to be honest, I don't really like this question. It's always very, let's say, problematic in a way, no? Because the easiest point, and I face that with a lot of students, and they come to uni, they have a career service, so they come to me and it's like, okay, what do I type, no, in the search box, as you were saying, and it's like, okay, well, we are in a different time, we are not talking about finance. Okay, I want to be an analyst, I want to be an investment analyst, merger and acquisition, whatever. We are not lawyers either, we are not looking for this or this other law firm, and where it's very easy and everything is really well placed. Sustainability and energy transition, as we were talking earlier, it's something fairly new, even though it's been there for many years, but it's fairly new that is becoming more trendy, it's becoming more demanded by the market mostly. And what happens is that there's not a simple definition of what's sustainable. Therefore, there's not a simple definition on how to call someone or some role that is going to deal with different things. So actually right now, and this is part of the complexity of the field, but please don't get discouraged by that part, is that the same person can be doing, or sorry, 3 different people, for example, can be doing the exact same things in 3 companies, and their role is going to be named differently, completely differently. And it comes from, I think, 2 not necessarily problems, but from two facts. On one side is, as we were saying earlier as well, sustainability departments or sustainability tasks are starting coming to be important in companies. So normally you don't have a team of 10 people that are going to deal with the different things involved in sustainability or energy transition. Therefore, you will have one person probably that is coping with all of those. How to name that? Yeah, it's to be chosen by the company, and it will be different in each of these three companies. The second component that makes it more difficult is that also those components are not that well defined, because sometimes a company will look at sustainability and will focus much more in how they gather their energy or become more green energy or less harmful for the environment, while others will be looking more at, okay, is my client also respecting, I don't know, human rights in their, or my supplier better, it's respecting human rights in their way of producing the produce I'm buying from them, or are they taking care that their workers have a work-life balance, and that way they are happier, and that way they contribute better in the world. So there's like a lot of things going on around there. So obviously we can always mention marketing specialists with a purpose-driven business that's going to be always sustainable, but you would never think of looking marketing specialist clicking that in the box and find a bunch of jobs in sustainable companies or sustainable driven companies. The same with reporting team in the sustainability office. Okay, in the end, you're just reporting. You could be reporting in auditing, you could be reporting in any other kind of department, but in this case, you would be doing it in the sustainability department. So that comprises all these roles that might be very general, but you can devote or you can develop in sustainability companies. And then you have the pure sustainability ones that you might do them in any kind of company. So the combination of both makes this really complex, as I said before. And I would say is not the right way of looking for a job in sustainability.
And what is the right one?
Good question. Thanks
So
for the question. I was
you
waiting for
already,
that.
you already, I had to ask this question.
Of course. So the right one, in my view at least, and I think we've been proving it's right, is through getting to know the community, getting to network a lot, and getting very acquainted of what's going on. And I know this is also somehow discouraging, but at the same time, it's very interesting because it will really introduce you into this, let's say, circle that keeps feeding itself. So it is really energizing in a way. And it's about that. So if networking is important in general, in business, in finding jobs, in sustainability and energy and climate or energy transition is even more important. Why? Because they have a different path in the different countries, in the different regions. So the only way you really get up to date and have the last news and the last developments that are happening is by talking to people, going to events, and getting in contact with different stakeholders. There's actually, and this I learned from someone that is right now in the immigration office from the UN, but he's an expert in HR, and is how you can classify networkers. Okay, so you have three different kinds of networker. You have tier 3 networkers or passive networkers. That's most of us, or most of the people, more than 70% of the people that go to work from 9 to 6. If there's an event at work, they might attend, but they only network whenever someone contacts them or when it's easy. Then you have 28% of the people, that's tier 2, or active networkers. They would participate or they would even create events, but just in their environment, so to say, in their organization. So also kind of in working time and not getting too much outside of the box. And then only 2% of the people are what we call creative networkers. Those are the ones that get outside. So also in their private life or whenever they finish work, they look for interesting things to do, events to attend, webinars to attend, maybe like this one. So they create, let's say, that network, and they also feed that network. Those, if you become one of those, is when you will have more chances to get successful in finding a job in the sustainability arena. So in the end, that's the kind of things you have to look at. Because if we look at the different options, in the end, there are certain challenges present right now that you can only cover if, again, you have this network and you are able to induce that information from your peers and from the communities.
I absolutely agree. All my experience shows that networking is kind of a professional booster for your career, for professional development. Even you will know where to look for an information. You will know what is important for the company where you will pass the interview. And if you will think as how to say, as the company thinks, you will be able to be more successful in this path. So absolutely, I think it's a must-have skill, as networking is also a skill. It is absolutely there. Hmm. I was just thinking that still there should be a difference between different sectors, such as corporate, non-profit, governmental, international agencies. It's a bit different career paths, and I guess it's a bit different job strategies, roles, maybe even values. Do you have
Yeah.
any
Yeah,
tips
I can
here?
give some, yeah, as we were saying before, no, sustainability can be present in the private, in the public spheres, it can be in the non-profit, it can be in different ways, no? So there are like certain insights that I think are important to take into account whenever you're facing the different ones, no? So right now, for example, in the broad sustainability sector, we know for sure that it's again a new sector to be developed. So it's not that all the knowledge is there. It's not that all the information is there. Many times it's just not going to be there. It's going to be about your view about it, how you will think on it and collaborate, creating some new information. There's a deep growth in this area coming because again, sustainability is going to be present in all the sectors. So as a whole thing, it will be really important and really it will be really in need of profiles. Also, there's a huge lack of professionals in these fields. That's why the trainings and the different masters are also flourishing because there's lack of skills. Like right now, companies are looking much more to these kind of profiles than than the amount of profiles that exist in the job market. So definitely moving here is wise, as we said at the beginning, because there's going to be a demand. And also it has synergies with the innovation and technology sector and what we call the fourth sector or the impact area. In the end, there are a lot of synergies that will allow you to move in between these three players with the same kind of knowledge or investing in the same kind of knowledge, you will be able to move around in those three. If we look more into NGOs or the nonprofit sector, they have the same challenges as well. Over here, there will be more needs of, let's say, finance-looking profiles. Why? Because in the end, what they lack many times, as they are non-profits, is money, is investment. So the way the World Bank, the way the International Finance Corporation from the World Bank, the way the IDB invests from the Inter-American Development Bank, the AIIB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the way all of these are moving is trying to mobilize. So they kind of not stopped, but they didn't develop further all this policy of having countries investing in other countries in order to, donate and do projects, but more attracting as well the private sector, the private investors. So you create business and you create a business network already in those countries. So by themselves and these companies getting in, they manage to develop the country and their economy on their own. And they are doing it also in a very sustainable and responsible way. Mostly if you look at all the developments in Africa, one of the good things they are doing is that they are incorporating all these things since the beginning. So in a very different way than how we've done it in Europe maybe, or in the US or in other areas of the world. And then if we look as well at the impact business area, in this case, most of them are startups. So they are small companies. They have also other kind of challenges. In this case, that entrepreneurial line in the MBA skills, what an MBA provides you, this entrepreneurship line, would be very useful in this area. But of course, you also have to like it, because you won't be part of a big corporation where you are more relaxed, sitting down in your desk. No, you will be an entrepreneur, or will be part of a team in a startup. So you will be going to events like South Summit here last week in Madrid. You will have to move around. You will have to network a lot. You will have to do all those things, because in the end, like getting what you were saying, Anastasia, just before, is that not only you become more knowledgeable, so you will find those opportunities, you will know what's going on in the field. It's also that whenever you're interviewing for an employer, if you're able to mention all that knowledge that you're getting as well from going to events, from talking to people, from being part of a community, that will show already that employer that you are this active. So therefore, even if you are not gonna, even if your tasks are gonna be a little bit different what you've been doing before, it shows that your energy and your passion is gonna be there. And believe me, that's something employers really would like to see in an interview and later in their employers. So it's something to really take into account.
Great. So a logical question after that is where to look for this kind of communities, this kind of networking, this kind of up-to-date information. What can you recommend?
Yeah, so of course we already mentioned some of them, because I was showing in those websites now that some of them have already like insights, resources, not only job search engines, but the classic ones, or the most important ones I tend to see, and where everyone is looking at constantly, would be like the publication context, for example, from the Thomson Reuters Foundation. That's a little bit less known, but I really like it because it really touches in many different points. And it combines, it's a foundation from a company, but it combines also this private and non-profit approach. Then we will have climate change makers, for example, .org. We would have the Financial Times Moral Money. All these, let's say, publications in economic and finance tend to have one moral side or one impact side. So you have also The Economist Impact from The Economist. They do have also 2 or 3 events per year. I was recently in March in London in the Sustainability Week. Also a really good forum where to hang out with all the people that is related to these topics. The one in the US is being either this week right now or last week, I'm not sure. Then you have also the Harvard Business Review, of course, the Stanford Social Innovation Review. If you are more interested in circular economy, go to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. They created it. They are the masters about it. So please go and check that one. And then you have also sustainability insights from Bain, but as well other consultancy companies are developing those. So reports from McKinsey or from Bain again, Deloitte, EY, all of those are getting more and more used to get a sustainability report every year about the market. I don't mean about how sustainable they are, that they also do, of course, but we don't care that much about that probably, but they bring reports as well. And the one I mentioned several times that I really like, the World Economic Forum one, the future of work. And is because the World Economic Forum in the end is a space where lots of companies worldwide get together. So these reports tend to be a very broad vision, sometimes too broad, but it's a good starting point, I think, to go and analyze further later. I'm sure anyway, like Anastasia, you have many more, and probably we could incorporate some of these as well in this document or this list that we can share with the audience.
Yeah, I think so. And I found very useful in LinkedIn. You can have digests from organizations that you like and you follow, and some of them they're creating like monthly digests and so on. So you get all the information you need to see
Yeah,
what
actually,
is happening in the market.
one of the points that I forgot, I mean, while preparing, actually, I didn't think about it, but is what you're saying. Like, in order to do all this network as well, you cannot imagine the amount of little communities or people that are sharing opportunities in these fields. And it's always impact, it's always sustainability, that they do a digest every week or every 2 weeks, and they share opportunities, they share events, they share these kind of things. So definitely, not that I want followers on LinkedIn or something, or maybe Anastasia, but probably if you keep an eye on what we are publishing and what we are sharing, you will see as well that this community and this way of looking for things will grow, because it's really, in the end, it's really organic, and only when you get into it is when it will grow and it will become useful.
Yeah, definitely. So we start to receive questions from our participants, and the first question was from Maria. She asked if there is any advice on how to change the mindset of old school energy men who often think that only the people with energy education should be involved in tackling energy transition.
Well, that's a difficult question, mostly because old school, doesn't matter if they are energy men or other kind of men, are always difficult to change in terms of mindset. I think in this case, what we have to look at is that these requests in the end are not coming anymore by them. These energy men are coming from their boards, are coming from their ESG teams, are coming from the regulation that is coming from the regulators as well, from the institutions. So in the end, they are gonna have to fall into this. And if it moves forward, for example, the new regulations in taxonomy in the European Union, the new regulations in waste, the new regulations that are being passed, they are pretty much copying them in order to apply them as well in the US and in other areas. So they will see that energy people or people with energy background, of course, will know about certain amount of things, but they will need many other people around that. So I think the way that you can do that the best, because I guess it's because you're facing probably an idea of getting into these companies and you have the challenge, I would say try to show what we were saying before, that you are in the community, that you have the knowledge. And if you don't have the knowledge yourself, because you don't come from the energy sector, you have the network. So you know where the events happen, you know where to get that information or how to contact people that will be helpful at that point. But you have to show that, and if they don't see it, then yeah, it's a challenge, but like sustainability is important in a transversal way nowadays, and it will affect also their numbers. That's why and this is a good tip to check if a company is worth in terms of how sustainable or how strongly they are falling into these new trends, is look at where the sustainability person or the sustainability department is falling from. If it comes directly from the CEO or from the finance team, then they are taking it seriously, because they are actually analyzing how those things are affecting financially to the company. And in the end, it's not that that's what matters, but obviously if you don't affect the financing, then you are not important because you are not bringing money or spending less money. So therefore you become less relevant. But now smart people are realizing that they have to include it in the financing part. And those are the ones that will realize that not only people with an education in energy will be the ones that are of value.
Yeah, I think so. And I see that the second one was not the question, but in fact the answer also to the question of Maria. So Amin participated in the discussion, and he said that maybe it will be more efficient to teach young people that they can be in energy transition without energy education. The old school energy men are old and don't have much time wasted interest in anything apart from keeping their jobs. The young, on the other hand, have time and have all interest. Keep calm and carry on. Thank you, Min, for your POV. Um, I think it has a bit a connection with what you said before in the very beginning, that it's really important to look around what is happening in the technological field, what is happening in regulations, and the agenda of the sector. And indeed, either we change, either we do not survive. So
Yeah, I mean, we are already seeing the consequences, and right now we have a stronger climate. We have people that will move from regions just because they don't have resources anymore. So I think it's clear, and I'm not sure how many other ways are there to take into the public the importance of these topics. But I think at least now we are all aware of that. That we move forward or not, or how fast we move forward, is still to be seen. But I believe that in the end, by extending the knowledge, by sharing, by community creating, we will get there, and we are getting there, and we are getting there with no way back. So believe me, this is the future, and this is how we have to go.
Sounds great. So I think it was the great way to close our discussion. And I would like to thank you, Javier, and to thank all of our participants for being here today and for actively participating in the discussion. It was so many useful insight and tips shared. Thank you, Javier. I hope it was useful. Um, Please, if it was useful, like, share, and repost. It's highly appreciated, and it's really important for us. If you have any further questions or needed additional information, feel free to reach out the team or in comments or us directly in LinkedIn. At least I'm speaking about myself. Have you? You can join as well if you want. And we will also be sharing the recording of today's session and some materials that we owe you after the discussion. So we are looking forward of seeing you at our next event. And I wish you a great day, and I hope that it was useful for you. Thank you very much, Javier. Thank you very much, participants.
Thank you very much, everyone, as well.
Thank you.